Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My God, supporting this club ain't easy, is it? We do things the hard way, don't we? I'm just your host until Chris gets back to his car, and then he will take over. But welcome to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. Got two guests with me tonight, Craig Dearman. I've got James Black, the voice of Spurs, back with us. How are you, James?
Oh, mixed feelings, man. That was an amazing last 2 or 3 minutes, but there's definitely some questions there. And like you say, it's not easy watching being a Tottenham fan. That was 87 minutes of horrendous for me.
It was, wasn't it? And back with us, we got Paul the Hotspur Hippie. How are you, Paul?
I'm all right, man. Oh, like for a large part of that game, I was thinking, why did I say I'm going to go on Chris Cowlin? Because I'm just going to be miserable and moany. But hey, the quad's on. The quad's on.
It's still there, and yeah, I mean, this is a look. We're not going to skate over the abysmal 87 minutes that came before the 2 goals. Of course, we're not. But this is going to be obviously a slightly, hopefully, better podcast than the one I was actually thinking it was going to be about 20 minutes ago. So look, let's get straight into this, James. Let's come to you first. So we've got these. This is the lineup. Talk us through it. What was your thoughts when this lineup came out? We had a bit of discussion in our group chat. My lineup was similar to this. Some people thought that he wasn't going to make a lot of changes, and of course he actually made 8 changes in the end to the starting lineup for Arsenal. So, what did you think of that when that came out?
My first thought is you've got to do a mixture. I think you've got to give these people minutes. You've got to give you've got squad players there that have been playing well, have been training well. But if you'd taken, for me, Forster, Davies, and Werner out and put in Vicario, Van der Ven or Romero, and then had like Son on the wing, I think that's a good mix. I think you see quite a lot of these top teams, they do gentle rotation, and we don't seem to do that, and nothing seems to have been learned from the Fulham game. And I was questioning his Postecoglou saying, "I'll win a trophy in my 2nd year," and then he's doing that. And I think the thoughts that I had come to fruition. It's just too many changes. There's no fluidity to the team, and I was concerned. But I won't lie. There was part of me that was quite excited, thinking, right, okay, Gray, Bergville, I want to see these players, and they deserve to play. Odegaard's shown some good stuff, especially in the first game. But overall, honestly, it was a bit of fear. It's too many changes, I thought. There was 9, wasn't there, against Fulham? I think it was 8 this time. So it seemed like it was the same thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What were your thoughts, Paul? Did you think that was too many changes, or were you expecting it, or what was your opinion?
Yeah, I was expecting some changes. I was thinking that, whatever team was picked, the way some of the mood with some fans at the moment, and be damned if he plays a full team and damned if he don't. So we've got to get minutes in these players' legs so that if things cock up later in the season, they're ready to go. So I thought it was fair enough, and I thought it was a lot better than, the same situation we had against Fulham last year, where there were a lot of changes, but the lot of changes we had to do for that game weren't as good as the changes on paper, at least, that we did for this game. So I was quite excited by the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't surprised there was that many changes. I had a feeling there was going to be a fair few, like I say. But like you say, on paper, I still thought that team, when I looked at it, I thought this should be enough to, with respect to Coventry, comfortably get us through. And of course, it wasn't what happened at all, was it? James, when did you think during that first half? Well, to be honest, there's not much to discuss about the first half because it was so poor. But at what point in that first half did you think this is going to be tough? Was there a significant moment, or? I mean, the first couple of minutes was bad. I mean, Forster was forced into a save after a mistake, wasn't he?
That was it. 54 seconds in, I knew this is going to be a bit of a problem. It was. I don't want to be down on the whole thing, but having no shots on target in for such a long time against Coventry, even if you've made all them changes, is not a good look. And there's similar things that have been appearing in throughout the season, where we've had a lot of possession at the start, didn't we? But seemed a bit toothless in front of goal. All these things for me were just coming back again. And I think the last 3 or 4 minutes has glossed over that, but it won't get away them feelings. I'll tell you one of the fears that I've got is that stubbornness that Ange seems to have. Now we've gone through, is he going to do that again in the next round and make all these changes? And Spurs fans, you talk to any Spurs fan, we just want a good cup run now, and we deserve a good cup run, and just want to get this trophy hoodoo off our back. So that's a concern even still now. So as amazing as those last 3 or 4 minutes were for me, I'm still concerned by that stubbornness of lineup and changes.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris?
I'm just outside the Coventry Building Society arena. I tell you, I've got such mixed emotions. I don't know what to think about that. At half-time, all the fans were booing, and at full-time, the fans were singing "Spurs are on their way to Wembley." It's just such a mix of emotions. But I tell you what, I've been listening to you guys for the last minute or so while walking back, and again, I just feel that Ange Postecoglou has disrespected this competition for Spurs. You know, the amount of changes that he made last year. If I was a Coventry fan this evening, I would feel very, very disappointed not to have won that game because of the amount of chances that they had. Let me just play you this clip at half time. And then this one is at full time. James, let's come to you first because I tell you, I feel extremely frustrated. You said that, you know, could he and would he do it in the next round now? And I feel like we are so lucky to get through that. I feel so disappointed with the performance. It's great to go through. It's great to win. And it's great that we had those subs to come on and change the game. However, most of the game was really, really poor. To not have a single shot on target again in the first half. I don't want to just focus on all the negatives tonight, but I am quite annoyed the fact that Ange has approached this game again in exactly the same way as he did last year. He used excuses saying, well, I needed to see these players. Fair enough, I get the point that some of these players do need game time, but 8 changes in a game like this, which means so much to the fans. Do you think that the manager and everyone at the club, do you think that they actually realise how important these cup competitions are to fans?
That's a really good question. I'm not too sure because of the last two times this has happened. I think the Carabao Cup is there for the taking for Tottenham, for a team like Tottenham. The way that they can 78% possession in these games, a lot of attacking football. Just need to be a lot better in the final third. We play like a cup team. A Tottenham fan has been suffering for so long without a trophy, and to listen to the fans on that is a bit, well, for me, quite out of order. And I don't think they do, is the bottom line, if I'm honest with you, Chris. I think if they did, he wouldn't be making these changes against Fulham and against Coventry. When it happened against Fulham, he would not have known that the fans' feelings, because he commented on it, didn't he? He said he knew what the fans' thoughts were on that when we went out. And yet he's done it yet again. But look, I was just saying to Craig before you come on there, Chris, that the concern is that the next round he'll do it again. So even though it feels great getting through, there's just a concern that there's not going to be a good cup run here if we keep changing so much. And Forster was pretty poor. I think quite a lot of that. I think there were a lot of poor performances. Actually. Oh yeah. Paul, let's come to you. We certainly got away with one there, didn't we?
Oh yeah, but I'm happy because we won 2-1 and we got a ping pong ball with our number on it in the hat for the next round. And yeah, like, it wasn't great, and it was like we couldn't pass the ball in their box. Our defending was pretty awful for in fact it was terrible for Coventry's goal. But I just got to say, Ange is a genius for that team selection because we're in the next round. That's all that matters. I'm happy. They've got some minutes. They're going to get some chemistry the more they play together. So I don't care, man. We're in. That's all I care about. We're in.
I'm not buying it, Paul. I'm not buying the whole genius. I really not, because the amount of chances that Coventry had this evening, they could have had an absolute hatful. I feel like we have really, really got away with one this evening. Are you worried or concerned about this squad, and about Ange keeps saying about, you know, I always win trophies in my second season, particularly when, you know, last season 9 changes, this season, you know, today 8 changes. I must admit, you know, earlier on, I got here quite early. I got over to the stadium and I saw the players coming off the bus. And when I saw the likes of Maddison, Heung-min Son coming off, Vicario, I thought, okay, Ange has learnt his lesson from last year. We're going to go strong. We're going to go and win this game comfortably. And I felt really good. And when that team sheet came out, I must admit, I was very, very surprised. Were you surprised by the team selection today? I know you've spoken about it a little bit, but I really want to delve into it, and why you think Ange thinks that this is okay to make this amount of changes. Because, like I say again, we got away with one tonight. They had so many opportunities to score.
Well, look, you know, I think it's a bit of balance. You know, we've had some good performances this year and we haven't had the result. Tonight we had a bad performance and we got away with the result. I'm not fussed about team changes or selections. And, you know, people are making a big thing about Ange winning in his second year. He was asked a question, and it's true. He always wins in his second year. If he doesn't win anything this year, then he'll answer the question differently next year. So, look, I'm happy with it. I'm happy. We won. We won. Maybe we didn't deserve it or whatever, but the score is Coventry 1, Tottenham 2. That's all I worry about, man.
True. Craig, what are your thoughts on that game? Because I know we go through a lot of emotions as Tottenham Hotspur fans, but wow, I'm sitting here. I don't know what I've just witnessed. I don't know. I don't even know how to feel. I don't know whether I should be happy or angry.
I feel the same. It's very, very strange feeling. We definitely got away with one there. I was concerned. Obviously, when they scored, I was concerned that we wouldn't get back into it. But it just goes to show that amount of changes, there was no cohesion at all in that team in the first half. It was slow, lethargic. That mistake from Forster in the first minute, we was nearly 1-0 down straight away. That was clearly a goalkeeper coming back from injury, had not played much at all. Didn't give Bergvall much of a chance with the ball because it was terrible. All I really wrote down, it was build up very slow, giving Coventry time to get back into position. There was no, when we did get the ball, they were so slow going forward. There were so many under par performances until the changes were made. I thought Jed Spence really grew into the game and obviously kick-started the win in the end. I thought he did bring a bit of life down that left-hand side. I would have liked to have seen him start, but surely now he's got to be pushing for a start. Really, I know he's trying to compete with Udogie and Porro, but you know, the last 2 games we've lost. You know, we did get away with one tonight. It was just slow, Chris. I didn't celebrate the goal, to be honest with you. I sort of like give it a little, but even the winner, it was just like you could see our players; they were almost embarrassed. When Johnson scored, he was a bit embarrassed that we shouldn't have even been in that position. We should be blowing teams. With all due respect to Coventry, we should be blowing them off the park, and we didn't. And it just goes to show are those second string players good enough? Are they good enough? Because they didn't look like a team today. It was so disjointed. But as Paul said, we got the win. We're somehow in. You know, we've got our names in the hat. So essentially, we're 2 rounds further than we got last year. That's the only positive to come out of it, really, for me.
James, obviously we're through to the next round. Of course, that is a positive. But what other positives would you take from this evening? Because I tell you what, I've just come out of the stadium. I'm sitting right opposite the stadium. And in that away end today, I don't think I have heard so many boos for some of our players, the decision-making, in an away end for a very, very long time. It just seems a really, really weird situation right now because, of course, Spurs fans have come away from that away end feeling happy that we are into the next round. But performances, when you look at the performances over this season, what have you made of them? And as Craig said, so many changes this evening, some of these fringe players coming in, and I've said this on podcasts year after year after year, particularly when we've gone out of cup competitions. And some part of me feels like this is the defeat tonight. It feels like a loss. Honestly, I don't know how to feel, but it's about grabbing opportunities. Who in that first half grabbed their opportunity, in your opinion?
Well, the positives, to go back to the first bit, the positives that I would take from that is that Ange might be a bit closer to knowing that he's top first 11 again, because not many did take the opportunity. I'm exactly with Craig on that Jed Spence should have started. I liked him in pre-season. I watched quite a lot of pre-season. He was pretty fantastic. And he was the same again today, wasn't he? He wanted to attack. He did something. It changed when he come on. Kulusevski, when he come on, was amazing. I actually think Maddison was good when he come on. He better than what he was when he was playing from the start in the other games. And didn't think Son did too much. I was very miffed with taking Solanke off when you're losing. You're taking your striker off. And although we did get away with one, another positive I would say that although I'm concerned, there's a part of me that has to believe that Postecoglou now in the next round knows that there's quite a few of these players who can't do it in this competition, and that he maybe gets closer to what we're seeing from a lot of the top teams, this gentle rotation. Yes, rotate 2 or 3, change a few. Another thing I was miffed with was there was no centre-backs on the bench. So we got Davis at the centre-back with no centre-backs on the bench. That was, for me, crazy. But I share the same as you guys in terms of don't know how to feel. But I certainly celebrated the winner. I went crazy, to be honest with you. I certainly celebrated. I'm a Tottenham. I was going mental. But coming back down to earth to do this podcast, it was 87 minutes of concern.
Well, of course, Jed Spence got our equaliser in the 88th minute. Brennan Johnson in the 92nd minute. Now, the match facts and stats here. Coventry had 30% of the ball to Tottenham's 70%. Shots, Coventry had 15 to Tottenham's 9. Shots on target, Coventry had 5 to Tottenham's 4. Shots off target, Coventry had 4 to Tottenham's 3. Block shots, Coventry 6, Tottenham 2. Touches in the opposition box, Coventry had 26, Spurs had 27. Goalkeeper saves 2 apiece. Aerial duels 1, Coventry 16, Spurs 16. Fouls, Coventry 9, Spurs 10. And corners 7 apiece. Paul, let's come to you. Overall, what are your thoughts of the game, and what are your thoughts of the players that came in this evening? Because a number of changes. What players do you think really took their opportunity and could be banging on Andrew's door now to say, "Give me some Premier League game time"?
Well, it's hard to say. I think Bergvall did all right. I mean, look, my main thing about the selection was Ben Davies playing because, I don't think he's up to it. But, I mean, there's not a lot of players putting their hands up, and it did take the subs to turn it around with us. Like our passing was kind of all right. We were in control of the game. It was just when we got anywhere near their 18-yard box, it was like there was a force field around it, and we just couldn't play football. We couldn't pass the ball to anyone. We couldn't do anything. It was weird.
What is that issue?
I don't know, man. I don't know. The yips. I don't know. All I'm pinning my hat on is when it starts clicking, we're going to be bloody fantastic. But man, oh man, it's not happening yet, is it?
Paul, you must be extremely pleased for Brennan Johnson getting the winner because, of course, he's received a lot of online abuse this week. He's deactivated his Instagram account. Ange Postecoglou spoke about this at length in the press conference and the 2 embargoed press conferences this week. What did you make of Brennan Johnson this evening?
It's more of the same, but I'm happy he got a goal because I just don't like the flack he's been getting. Hopefully this will be the start. Look, Ange, I heard what Ange said about Brennan Johnson in his press conference, and I think, well, what else is Ange going to do? If he thinks there's a player in there, you're not going to just, rip him to shreds in front of the world. You're going to stick up for him. And I was happy for him. It was a well-taken goal. It was a well-taken goal at the end. I couldn't believe it. I thought he would hit it into Rose Ed, but he scored, so good on him.
Craig, let's come to you. Have you already given your thoughts on the game, Craig?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I think it was over pretty quick. Well,
Exactly.
let's go to the match instance, because after just 45 seconds, I know you guys have already spoken about this, but Fraser Forster was forced into a save because he made a mistake. Craig, you and I spoke on a podcast yesterday about the team selection of what we thought Ange would do. I don't think it was far wrong. Fraser Forster coming in. When a player like this comes in and they haven't played for so long, is this, I'm going to go back to team selection again, because Fraser Forster was heavily criticised by the away end. The guys in the away end this evening, heavily criticised by a number of things that he did on the pitch today. Was that the right move from Ange?
No, I personally think if you're going to rotate keepers, I think Brandon Austin, I stand by what I said last night. I think Brandon Austin should have been had a go if he's not going to play Vicario. I just think Forster looked rusty. He almost looks a bit. It's like too calm all the time, and that, he just wasn't at it. He did make a couple of good saves, but they're bread and butter for a goalkeeper. You should be saving them. He flapped a bit from a corner for the size of him. He's 6'6". He should be coming out and wiping out a few of his defenders to get to the ball. I don't quite get why he started over Austin. If they've given Austin a new 5-year deal or whatever it is, surely that says that Austin is the second choice to Vicario. I just don't understand it. I really don't. Yeah. There's not much more I can say about it. He didn't have a particularly good game. I was just so happy it didn't go to penalties, because I think we all know which way that had gone.
Ange Postecoglou on the performance has just said we weren't as fluid performance-wise. Some of that is down to Coventry. They played with high energy. In the end, I was pleased for both Jed Spence and Brennan Johnson. They've come on and made a difference for us and made a difference in the game. I agree with part of that from Ange, because some of that was down to Coventry. I thought Coventry were absolutely superb. Their game plan certainly worked up until the very, very end. Their pressing was absolutely exceptional with their high energy. A championship team sitting in 14th in the championship right now, 5 points from 5 games. James, what did you make of Coventry today? Because they were well up for it.
Yeah, and you got to remember that they've made 7 changes to their team, and I think Robbins, their manager, said at the start, he said, we want to make sure there's balance here. We've got a game in 3 days' time, so we've made 7 changes. So we was talking on the group chat, weren't we? That actually calmed me down a bit from the 8 changes, thinking, okay, there's a bit of a balance here. Maybe we need to be doing the same sort of thing. But yeah, I was impressed with them. But something that I've seen all season that really is ugly head again today. Sorry to keep doing negative, even though we've won, but it's something that concerns me. Is there still seems to be like a soft underbelly to Tottenham? The fight, the determination, the will to win. That theme is still there, and I saw it even more today than I did even in the previous games. So I think Coventry smelt that. So although they were impressive, I think them smelling that and taking advantage of that and seeing, then we started getting nervy. Was probably us bringing it on ourselves a little bit more than Coventry playing so well, in my opinion. I think we started to look a bit nervy.
James, I know some people will probably get a bit bored with me to keep talking about team selection, but when you go back to Pochettino making so many team changes against the likes of Colchester, Jose against Middlesbrough, Antonio Conte against Sheffield United, last year under Ange against Fulham, tonight against Coventry. What is it about these managers keep making all of these changes in cup competitions like this? Someone explain it to me, because I just don't get it.
Here's quite a poignant way to look at it, I think. Imagine if we'd had a trophy under our belt in the last year or two. I don't think we'd be as concerned. We'd like to see a bit of a change. And I think that is the issue. I think there's so many years without a trophy. We love a good cup run, and Tottenham have been a cup team when I was growing up. The FA Cup was so important to me, and the League Cup was so important to me. I loved it growing up. And I think it's probably quite a lot of that, to be honest, as well, which Ange hasn't known about, I suppose. But that's a big factor. If we'd won a cup 2 or 3 years ago, Chris, would you be as concerned with the changes? Would you be as
I always want to see Spurs go strong in cup competitions. And as you mentioned, Coventry made 7 changes as well. So when a team is making that amount of changes, does it not make it even worse, the fact that if Spurs went with, a fairly full strength team, we would have got the job done early?
Yeah, and bring them off and then take them and then get some fresh legs on. Yeah.
I never understand why it's the other way around, why you start strong on a bench and then have to bring those players on.
I remember doing this podcast after Fulham, and we said exactly that point. It was why not?
I think you were also on against Nottingham Forest when we went out of one of the cups as well, James. When I was travelling back, and it always frustrates me when we go out of cup competitions. But whoever we get in the 4th round, if this happens again, I feel like we're going to have exactly the same situation. Paul, I know you are one of the most positive Spurs fans that come on this channel, and I love you for that. However, do you see, or are you concerned about any of this team selection for cup competitions under Ange Postecoglou? Because the amount of Celtic fans that told me when Ange was appointed, Chris, you will love Ange because I know that you love to go strong in cup competitions. Ange will always go strong in cup competitions. He will win you trophies. Now, I don't think Ange is going to be winning us trophies when we're making so many changes in these games.
Well, I think it's not just Ange; it's the modern game, and I don't like it. When you think of, when Spurs beat AC Milan in the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup in '71, that was their 4th game in 6 days with the same 11.
Yeah.
But that's just the way football is. I hate it. I don't think it's necessary. But it's not. You look at any Premier League team in this cup. In this round, they're all going to have made, 5, 6, 7, 8 changes. That's just football. I hate it, but that's the way it is.
I've got to admit, I feel like I'm kind of changing my attitude towards Ange Postecoglou. I'm fully behind him, but it has really frustrated me today with that team selection, as you can probably tell. Craig, are you still, Ange has received a lot of criticism from our fans. And it's funny, twice during the game, the fans tried to sing the Ange Postecoglou song. And it's fair to say, I would guesstimate 5 to 10% of the fans actually joined in and the others didn't. How are you feeling towards our manager right now? Because you and I have spoken at length about this. I really want it to work for him. But I just don't feel like he's done himself any favours by that team selection tonight.
Look, I'm still behind him, and a large proportion of that is because as I said before, I cannot go through another rebuild. We can't keep changing managers. If they were to sack Ange, right, where does that leave us?
But can you keep accepting manager after manager after manager, year in, year out, keep making all these team selections in cup competitions, and we go out early?
I honestly think that is. I agree with what Paul said. A lot of the Premiership managers, and even Coventry tonight, they all made changes. The trouble is, and I think trouble with tonight's game, the Coventry players that come in, if that was their 2nd string, thank Christ they didn't put their 1st string out because they'd have beat us.
Absolutely.
But it just goes to show the hunger the lads from Coventry had. They had more hunger and more passion and more determination than us in that first half and for a majority of the game. It comes down to that, I think, for me, because those players that Ange put out in that team should be turning over Coventry. There's no 2 ways about it. And we did not look like the Premiership team tonight.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's Ange not getting them up for the cup, I can't believe that. He does seem to be a great talker. It's the play. Tonight, for me, is on the players more than the manager. They were given an opportunity. We wanted to see Bergvall. We wanted to see Gray. We wanted to see Odegaard start and get a run. All right, I wanted to see Spence, and he came on and actually changed the game for me. But and what did they do, these players? They didn't really. Archie Gray wasn't too bad. I saw him go on a couple of runs. Personally, I'd like to see him in the centre midfield role, the number 6 role. But nobody else really did anything. Solanke didn't get any service at all. Odegaard got injured. Obviously, you can't legislate for that. Werner wasn't very good at all. For me, at the time he was on the pitch, I mean, I'll just show you this. I'm trying to not be too negative. This was a ball he could have played through to a doggy. He left it too late, and the ball went out for a goal kick.
Yeah.
And the defending, which I know we'll come on to, this one, I've just circled the ball up there at the top. Sorry for listeners on the audio, but this is just showing the volley. I can't actually remember who hit it. Rudoni, I think it was, might have been. I mean, how wide open is he at the back there? You know, the players just didn't do enough tonight.
I know, Craig. This podcast is going to probably come across as quite negative, and I just worry the way that we have played today. Because if we play like that in the future, no matter who the team selection is, whether it's Brentford on Saturday or whether it's Carabao next week in the Europa League or Manchester United Sunday week, if we keep playing like this, wide open like that at the back, then I worry about our results in the future. James, let's come to you. After 11 minutes, Bergvall to Solanke, he took a heavy touch. What did you make of Dominic Solanke's performance today? Because that is now 3 appearances in the Spurs shirt, hasn't scored yet. A player, of course, has come in for £65 million. Some people have criticised the move. Personally, I think that it is a good move, and I think it will work out. But, you know, he spent a month out. Does he look sharp and fit to be playing like in games like tonight? Because, like Craig said, I don't feel like he got the service at all, and people will probably see it as another blank on his behalf because he hasn't scored.
That last point that you said just there, for me, I don't think he got the service. Fair enough to judge him on that. I don't think how many chances, we didn't have any shots on goal. How many chances were we creating? I didn't even know the Coventry goalkeeper was there in the first half. I think he maybe touched it once or twice. So I think that's unfair. I think there was a bit of a fitness issue to it. But when you scored 19 goals in a Bournemouth side, and you come into Tottenham, and we are going to start creating chances, I think, given time, he's going to prove to be a good signing. How good, I'm not sure, but he did show some nice touches. Don't know if you saw the 2-touch thing that he had in the corner there. But to take him off was a bit. I didn't get that. Maybe that's a fit. Maybe that points us towards the fitness thing. That he got taken off when we're 1-0 down. Taking your striker off is your only recognised striker is strange. So maybe that points towards a fitness thing that we don't quite know about. He can't finish the games, but for me, it's not on Solanke. For me, it's the service to Solanke that as soon as we got into that final third, there was just, I think someone mentioned the force field thing. That is how I see it. There was nothing. We weren't creating anything, no crosses, no chances. So I don't think we can judge him on that fairly, to be honest.
Paul, let's come to you. In the 10th minute, in the final third, Bergvall had a 1-2 with Timo Werner. Then he was tackled. A couple of minutes later, Timo Werner to Udogie. The cross was blocked. On 15 minutes, a huge groan from the away end as Timo Werner crossed it into the box to a Coventry player. A minute later, Timo Werner was tackled very, very easily. Another groan, a huge groan from the away end for Timo Werner. What did you make of Timo Werner's performance tonight? Because when you talk about grabbing an opportunity, this is someone that has played for Germany many times. This is someone with vast European experience. What do you make of his performance? And are you confident that Ange Postecoglou will improve Timo Werner at Spurs?
It wasn't great, was it? I mean, I think it relates to Solanke. You know, I think we played a season last year without an out-and-out centre forward, and no one's told our wingers that we've got a guy in the box to give the ball to now, and they're just not doing it. So their decision making was not good at all tonight. Timo, I don't know, man. I don't know. He didn't set the world on fire tonight, did he? But I mean, a lot of our players didn't. Not up at that in that part of the pitch anyway. Like I say, we get in the 18-yard box and we just can't pass the ball. And I'm amazed you picked out a 1-2, because the important thing about a 1-2 is the 2 bit. And the number of times we were just doing 1 and then bugger all was so frustrating, man. So yeah, it wasn't pleasant to watch him tonight. No.
That is the most polite summary of Timo Werner in a Spurs that I've ever heard on this channel, Paul. Well done.
Well, he's got a Spurs shirt on, hasn't he?
Yeah, but the question is, do you think that he can be improved under Ange?
Well, he can't get any worse, can he? So, I mean, I don't know. But something's going to happen. I mean, if
I'd
he's
like to have seen Mikey Moore in there instead to be
yeah.
going to change it.
That would have been fun.
I'd have liked to have seen Roger Moore on the left wing.
Mikey Mouse.
Serious question though, like Craig, let's talk about Timo Werner, because he can't keep performing like this. He needs to deliver a lot more. Taking players on, or the lack of taking players on, the quality of the crosses, some of the passes I thought were so wayward and off, and to have groans and boos from your own fans. Like I said the other day, so early on in the season, this is when everyone is meant to be feeling really optimistic about the season, really positive about the season. You've got lots of fans, battering Ange at the moment. You've got lots of fans battering, players like Brennan Johnson, although he got the winner this evening. Fans are now battering players like Timo Werner. Where do you think it's all going to end up? Because can Ange improve someone like Timo Werner? Because this is a player Ange has signed twice. He must like him.
I think he wanted him before, didn't he? He wanted him at Celtic. Things with Timo Werner, I think players reach a ceiling, right? Most players reach a ceiling. He's at an age now where I don't think he is going to get much better. I don't see how you can improve somebody 28, 29. How old is Timo Werner? 28? Must be 28. And I think the incident you referred to earlier, he ran out of our sort of around our box sort of area, down the wing. He had a fair bit of grass in front of him. I thought, put the afterburners on, go. You're clocked at one of the fastest players in the Premier League so far. We know he's got pace to burn. All he needed to do is knock it past the right back and run. That's all I wanted to see him do. And he stopped. He tried to play it inside, and the fella tackled him. And I think that was the one you was talking about where the groans came from. He's a player with absolutely no confidence at all. He's got less confidence than he had at the end of last season. It's actually quite sad to see, because he was a regular German international, and for some reason his career's just gone. He's fallen off a cliff. And the harder he tries, the worse he seems to play. I mean, it must be demoralising for him. I don't know if he actually evaluates his own performances. He must do. They all must do. And, Ange obviously does like him. Like you say, he's obviously got faith in him. Looks like he's come off injured tonight. I don't know what he did. Might have been a hamstring. But I do despair for Timo Werner, because I wasn't against him coming on loan in January. I thought it was a clever move. When we re-signed him, I thought it was a surprise. But you thought, get behind him, because I've always said up until this point, if Ange wants the player, I want the player. I'm quite happy with that. But the last few performances have just been so poor, and I'm of the opinion, why didn't you give Mikey Moore a go today? Because from what I've seen of Mikey Moore, he give him a go.
Yeah. One positive to take, Lucas Bergvall, I thought he had a good game today. James, let's come to you. In the 26th minute, he had a free kick. A great delivery into the box. He made it very tricky for Coventry to defend, and then it actually went out for a corner. What did you make of Bergvall, and do you think that he could be banging on Andrew's door for Premier League game time sometime soon?
Yeah, definitely a positive. And also to play well when the team isn't clicking is even harder, I think. So, yeah, I was actually really impressed with him. There's no fluidity really to Tottenham, and he still was shining out. So, yeah, Gray had some nice touches as well. But, yeah, very impressed with Bergvall. But I've got to say, I was impressed when Maddison come on as well, though. I think Maddison played a lot better than he's been playing recently. But, yeah, I would say Bergvall's given the manager something to think about, and I wouldn't be, if they do this gentle rotation of having Bergvall against Brentford or against Carabao, I would like to see that. I'd like to see him grow into the team, grow some confidence, get used to the way we're playing, play with our first 11 a bit more. So linking up with Kulu and Son, and you'll see a bit more even from Bergvall, I think, because a shining light in that performance is it's even harder to do, I think.
James, in the 32nd minute, your doggy was fouled. A free kick was floated into the Coventry box. What surprised me at this point was the lack of Spurs players attacking this free kick in the final third. Now, Andrew's spoken out about, there is so much more growth to come in this final third. No matter what personnel are playing, it seems to be the same issue at the moment with us just not clicking in that final third. What do you put it down to? Because, we've got the players that can obviously do it, but what is it that hasn't been clicking this season so far for you?
I think if you look at it overall, it's been a bit stuttery in terms of Solanke starts, then he's injured, then he's coming back. I think that's a bit of a stutter. I think he's tried too many options in terms of like Kulusevski, Odegaard, Johnson, Werner. Maybe it's not used to each other. We're still experimenting. Maybe it's a bit of that. That's what I'm hoping it is, because up until today and up until that final third, I think we've been great. I think the performances against Newcastle, Leicester, take out the final third, and it's been impressive football. So yeah, I would put it down to, as you've said just then, we've got the players, and on paper they look great. Maybe it's not clicking because they're not playing the same front three. You remember Liverpool was doing that. I mean, it was the same front three, nailed on, game after game after game after game after game. They get used to each other. These are human beings who get used to knowing where the ball's going to go, and sort of Kane and Son had that intellectual thing. They wouldn't even have to even look. And maybe I'm hoping that it's that sort of thing. So once we get settled on that front three and what they are, maybe we'll start seeing it clicking a bit better.
There's a few comments saying that they perhaps think that I'm being a bit harsh on Timo Werner, but I just expect someone in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt to pass the ball to a Tottenham Hotspur player and perhaps get a cross in every now and then that is accurate. I don't think that is too much to ask for a player that is being paid that amount of money. Sorry to keep mentioning Timo Werner, but I've written so many notes down about him. After 34 minutes, Timo Werner, everyone was cheering him. The whole away end was cheering Timo Werner because he was on the attack. And then moments later, he lost it. In the 38th minute, Brennan Johnson crossed to a Coventry player. Coventry ended up at the other end, and it was inches over. What a great opportunity for them, but they missed it. On 42 minutes, Timo Werner was booed by the Spurs fans for losing the ball yet again. Paul, how can I put this? How is it? Brennan Johnson has had a lot of criticism. I don't feel like it is beneficial to be battering players on social media where they see it, especially when, I've told you this evening that the Spurs away end have booed certain players. What do you make of that? Because surely that is not going to help their confidence. But as I've just said, rightly so, you expect players to be finding another Spurs player in a Spurs shirt, and you expect a whole lot more.
Well, look, I mean, as far as booing players, people can express themselves however they want at a football game. It's rock and roll. And if a player's giving you the shits and you want to boo them, I think that's fair enough. They've got to be big enough to be able to shoulder that. In the ground, like social media and all that cesspit is a completely different thing. But in the ground, that's where the game's going on, and everyone's emotions are riding high, as they should be. But look, as far as Johnson goes, look, he got a goal at the end, which was good. But I mean, Johnson and Werner were, not good this game, not good at all. We just, it's like we're overcomplicating stuff when we get up there. It's like we're trying to finesse when we shouldn't be finessing. We should be more direct, and they just don't seem to have their head switched on right. But I'm hoping it will come good, Hey, look, we won. I'm smiling, man, because we won. That's the way it is.
Paul, I love all your positive spins on it, but when I show you these halftime stats here, look at this. Tottenham with 73.9% of the ball, 0 shots on target, 0 shots off target, 0 block shots. We had to make 1 save, 6 aerial duels won, 6 fouls, 2 corners, and only 5 touches in the opposition box. What needs to change for you? Because that opening 45 minutes was dismal. The players got booed off by the Spurs fans. I hate to witness anything like that because, of course, we always want to be cheering for our team. But those stats, it's not good enough, is it?
No, we got to move better off the ball. I find Spurs frustrate me when I sort of see it's almost like walking around hands on hips, you know, and so when they're not moving around, the guy with the ball has got to do something special, and often it ain't on. So whoever's got the ball isn't getting the options. No, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say. Look, we did control the game, and fair play at Coventry. You know, they didn't do a Sheffield United and time waste a little bit, but not much. They tried to play football. So
when you say that about we controlled the game,
yeah.
Do you mean that we just controlled the game because we had the most of the ball, we had the most possession? Because Leicester City won the Premier League with the least possession.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's. I'm not saying that is good enough. But we did have the ball. I mean, the point I made, we had a lot of possession. It was kind of pointless possession. You know, we didn't do anything with it. It was a lot of sideways and backwards and stuff like that. But we had the ball. So I like having the ball. It's called football. But we just didn't do much when we had it. But I don't know, man. I don't know why everyone's so down. We won a game of football, you know. It's 2-1. We're in the next round.
Yeah, Sydney Cider writes here, go back to being a happy clapper, Chris. But do you know what? I'm trying to be realistic here because, yeah, we could all sit here and say, yeah, everything's great, we're through to the next round. But I just don't feel like some of these players are good enough to be winning trophies, competing for trophies. And I feel like we should have done a lot more in the transfer window. You know, we've seen what our first team has done so far this season, and I feel like we need to do a whole lot more. Craig, how are you feeling at half time?
Disappointed. It was a bad first half. I didn't think although we didn't concede, we didn't defend particularly well. I think if they'd been more clinical, they could have easily gone up in 2-0 up. I think against a better team, we probably would have gone in 2-0 down. Yeah, just a bit deflated actually, because I was actually quite confident before the game. You always get that way, don't you? You always feel a bit more confident as the game approaches. I thought this was going to be an easier game than perhaps some thought it was going to be, but obviously I was wrong. It was just a very disappointing first half. Frustrating. It's so frustrating watching us sometimes because you know these players have got quality, and it just wasn't clicking all over the park. It just wasn't clicking. There were individual errors, mistakes being made, passes going astray. I still don't know how I feel now, to be honest with you. I'm happy. I agree with Paul on that. We did win a game of football. We're in the hat. But there's still so much to sort out. So I'm not getting carried away by any stretch, you know, because it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
James, let me ask you, what do you think that this team, this squad and Postecoglou, what do you think we are capable of this season?
With the first 11, the best 11, I think we're capable of going deep into the competitions like the FA Cup. I think he'll go stronger in that, and I think he'll go stronger in the Europa League. I think he'll go strong in the Europa League. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think what we're seeing here with the Cup, with the Carabao Cup, I'm hoping anyway, this is the only one that it'll be like this with, because I think in regards to the Europa League and the FA Cup, I think you'll see drag us in with either Van der Ven or Romero. You might see a bit of that, a slight rotation. You won't be seeing 8 changes in the Europa League and the FA Cup. I don't think so. I think I'll see 2 or 3 maybe to save some legs in the important players. But as we go throughout the season, I think he'll start to know his team, and he'll be saving the players' legs that he needs to, rather than that's. But in this competition, I don't think that he'll do that in the Carabao Cup. You
don't think that the League Cup is the easiest one to win out of all 3?
Oh, I do. Yeah. Oh, I do. In my position, I just want the trophy. But what I think he'll do is I think this is probably seen as the one that he can experiment a bit more, as we've seen the 8 changes. And I don't think he'll do that when we're playing, say, Rangers in the Europa League and stuff. I think we'll have a couple of changes, but I don't think he'll be making 8 changes going up to Ibrox.
Of course, early on in the first half, Odebear went off injured and Brennan Johnson came on. At half-time, Jed Spence came on. Udogie went off. Paul, what did you make of the change at half-time? And did you feel that there should have been more changes at half-time?
No, I thought the subs were all right, and they injected a bit of liveliness and pace into it. I think Jed Spence had a good game. He and Maddison, we looked more Spursy. I use that word to say good football, by the way. So, look, at the end of it, you know, team selections, substitutions, not playing well. I've got to say the manager got it right because we won. We won, and I think we are going to be going into the League Cup light. It's the least prestigious of the cups. I think I agree with James. I think in the UEFA Cup we're going to go a lot stronger because I think also from a personal point of view from Ange, that is a competition he really wants to do well in. He hasn't like experienced it that much before. He had it a bit with Celtic in the Champions League, but I think this is the one he wants, and it's the one I want out of all the cups. The UEFA Cup. You know, Tottenham is a European team. We always have been, so I want to go well for that one. Yeah,
I don't think we can be picky and choosy about what ones we want.
I'll have all of them, man. The cod's on.
Do you know what, though, Paul? I do disagree with you. I don't think Ange got it right this evening. I think we were very lucky.
We were, yeah. But sometimes that's what you need. We've been very unlucky in some of our other games, man, where we've played really well. So that's what happens. We won. And, you know, like later on in the season, when we start getting, you know, suspensions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bergvall, Archie Gray, they're getting match fit. So, okay, people were a bit wobbly this outing, but the only way you're going to get better is to play football. So maybe next time, if in the next round and you see that team selection, Chris, and your heart falls a little bit because we ain't taking it seriously, we might play better next game. You never know.
Look, if I'm coming across grumpy on this podcast, it's because I've seen it all before and I just don't want to see it again. That's my frustration because we've seen it so many times under so many managers going out of so many cup competitions when the Spurs fans are desperate for a trophy, me included, big time. And all this big talk about winning trophies in second year from Ange, and then he makes 8 changes in the first time that we're playing this competition this season. That's why I'm a bit aggy about it.
I don't think he has made a big deal out of winning in the second league. That's been journalists asking him that question. He's not sitting there going, we're definitely going to win a trophy this year because he's not said that. So he's just talked about his history when he's been asked. But, you know, prior performance is no guarantee of future performance. So it doesn't mean that he's saying we're going to win something this year. He wants to.
Craig, am I just being really grumpy, or do you get what I mean about the team selection?
No, I do, because we've discussed it, haven't we? That we want him to go strong, get the job done, and then take the players off and give the fringe players, if you like, a run. As I say, I come back to it. A lot of managers do it. Manchester United did it last night, and they went through comfortably. I'm sure Brighton did it tonight, and they obviously went through. I just think it's a thing. It's just a thing with Premiership managers that they make these changes for whatever reason, to give players a rest. That's the only thing it can be, to get those fringe players ready for games if they need to be brought in due to injuries. But for me, I think there were too many changes tonight. The team I predicted was, as I say, similar to the one Ange put out. It's not to say that was the team that I would have liked to have seen. You know, perhaps 4 changes, 5 at most, but not that many. And we got away with one tonight. We're lucky we're in the next round. And hopefully, I think it depends who we draw in the next round, to be honest with you. I really do think that. But hopefully Ange will go a bit stronger in the next round.
Yeah, that is kind of my point, though. It shouldn't matter who you draw in the competition. You should go strong to win the game comfortably. That's my opinion. Craig, let's stay with you. Coventry had a great spell. 51 minutes, they had a shot deflected wide. A couple of minutes later, they had a shot on target. Fraser Forster saved it. A couple of minutes later, ball over the top. Our defence just stood there. Luckily, Jed Spence got a touch.
I think it was that one.
That's the one. Jed Spence got back and luckily put it out for a corner. A couple of minutes later, another chance for Coventry, shot over the bar. A minute later, Timo Werner had the ball for us. His shot was blocked. A minute later, header at goal, saved. Another chance for Coventry. It went wide. I tell you what, this was a great spell for the hosts, wasn't it?
It was, and I think this was the incident that was around that time. This, I don't know what Forster was doing, charged off his line and completely missed the ball, took out Dragusin, and they were very unlucky not to score from that. Yeah, that was a bit of a huge error, wasn't it, really? And this is obviously, I know we'll come on to it, that look at that amount of space that they had. This is their goal. We'll come on to this one, but that's worrying for me. Not brilliant defending again.
James, what did you make of us defensively this evening?
Yeah, very, very poor. But I kind of was expecting that at the moment. I think Paul mentioned as well, like seeing Ben Davis in there. I think most Spurs fans would agree that's the one we didn't really want to be seeing. We want to be seeing Dragusin, yeah, for the gentle rotation, but pair him with a known centre back that's been playing well for us this season. So, yeah, I kind of expected it to happen. I was watching it through my eyes like this as soon as I'd seen that. I thought Dogie was pretty decent, to be honest, in that first half with him being substituted. I thought he played pretty decent in the first half. He was getting up very high, obviously leaving gaps, but thought he was pretty decent. Having Gray there, it was a bit of a fall down from having Porro there for me. But yeah, very, very second string. And I think it was, I know there's a lot of games that we're playing now every 3 or 4 days for a while. And so is it Rodri that said the players are going on strike? Well, I think 10 of ours have already started from today. But yeah, it wasn't good, was it? I mean, they didn't really look like, in the first half anyway, didn't look like really, really dangerous. But that's it. Again, I go back to that soft underbelly. And yeah, wasn't at all impressed, really, if I'm honest, especially with the centre-back pairing.
As Craig mentioned there, Davis cleared off the line, Forster rushing out. What a mess that seemed to be. Moments before that, Coventry had a corner and the ball went through Forster's hands. I tell you, there was a huge groan again from the away end. On 60 minutes, the fans booed again at this spell because Coventry just seemed to be running rings around us and having chance after chance after chance. How they didn't put the ball in the net, I will never know. And then a minute later, we crossed into the box and it went straight out of play. And it didn't seem to be very good play from Spurs whatsoever in that final third, which has been so frustrating this season to watch. A couple of minutes later, Ange brought on Heung-min Son and James Maddison. And a minute later, Coventry scored their goal. Paul, what did you make of the goal that Coventry conceded and from our point of view, defensively?
Oh, it was really weak, man. I was screaming at the TV. It was like the whole thing happened in slow motion. That, you know, it's not like the Coventry player slipped in like a shadow in the night. He's a big bloke. He just zagged once, and they're all ball watching. They're all ball watching, and I'm shouting, going, "There's a player there! Get the bloody player!" No, 1-0 Coventry. It was awful defending on that goal. And there was a couple of other times where almost the same thing happened again, where we just weren't picking players up. There's that guy there, and no, it was awful.
On 70 minutes, Jed Spence shot from 35 yards, went wide. Timo Werner came off. Kulusevski came on. Of course, Paul, Kulusevski coming on, it brought a bit more energy for us, didn't it?
Yeah, we just looked a bit more directional, you know, a bit more determined, but still, you know, our passing in the box was awful. Like you say, Chris, like Coventry, they come at us, perfectly decent crosses. You know, they didn't stuff up their crosses. They didn't have that many, but what they did was on the money. Whereas every time we were crossing it, Rose off the pitch, Coventry player, it was naff. But we did look better when Kulu came on and Spence and you know, the other guys. So we got there in the end.
On 76 minutes, Coventry had another chance, went wide, offside flag, then went up. A minute later, James Maddison had a shot from 20 yards, that went wide. Big cheer from the Coventry fans. Craig, we speak so often, you know, certainly this season in the podcast, saying that we're not having enough shots. When players are taking pot shots like this from 20 yards, 30 yards, 35 yards, and then putting them wide, of course, the away end, big groans again because they're not on target. What should they be doing in that final third? Because the shot should be a lot better on target always.
I think so. I mean, I was actually pleased Jed Spence had a shot from about 25 yards. I don't mind seeing that. It went just wide. Maddison had one from the edge of the box, tried to reverse it in the far corner, but missed the target. But you're right. You want to see shots on target. You want to see the goalkeeper worked. At least we did have a couple of long shots, even though they went wide. Obviously, Porro likes a shot. He does tend to hit over the bar more often than not. But you know they must practice shooting. We know they practice shooting quite a lot. That's what Angie's system's all about: getting forward, scoring goals. So you're a professional footballer. You should be hitting the target more often than not, in my opinion. But we're not doing enough again in that final third. Yeah, we got the game won. I think Coventry tired towards the end, and our quality showed in that last 10 minutes. But I'll go back to it. I think we got away with one tonight, and that's why the players weren't celebrating and running around like Stephen Bergwijn's winner at Leicester the other year. That was a bit of a different game. This wasn't. The players knew how badly they'd performed all game, and I think they're just happy to come away from Coventry with a win and have a ball in the hat for the next round.
On 78 minutes, Coventry had another chance. They were inches away from putting the ball in the net for 2-0. We had a shot on 80 minutes. First time we really forced the goalkeeper to make a good save. Johnson's shot was blocked on 85 minutes. And then, of course, we got the equaliser in the 87th minute through Jed Spence. James, what did you make of this goal?
Well, I was elated, to be honest with you. Like I was at that point, just anything. I mean, even going through this show as I'm going through it, I know that when the podcast is done and when I go to bed, I will still be happy. But yeah, seeing that go in, I jumped up, went crazy. I can't not when it's a Tottenham goal. I did went mental. Maybe not as much as the Bergwijn winner, but I did still celebrate and go crazy with it. Knowing I'd be coming on here as well, knowing that. But then I was just thinking penalties. This is Forster in the penalties. My brain went to that a little bit because I think it turned into a meme where he didn't really move, did he, for the Fulham penalties? So still concerned, but yeah, jumping around like an idiot, like I always do when Tottenham score. I can't stop. But it brings out the child in me more than anything ever in my life. So yeah, running around like an idiot. Happy for Spence. I think he took his opportunity. You mentioned an earlier question, Chris, and who would bang on the door, and that not just the goal, but the way he played, the way he moved forward, the way he wanted that equaliser. When I talk about the soft underbelly, he definitely didn't have that. So yeah, happy for him, and thinking that will add to his cause that he should be knocking on the door. He's against the Dogie, yeah, of course, but a bit of rotation there. I think Spurs fans wouldn't be too sorry to see. When he goes into more gentle rotation. But yeah, extremely happy. Brings out the child in me every time Spurs score.
Paul, you've been the most positive on this podcast this evening. So do you want to talk us through the 92nd minute winner from Brennan Johnson?
Oh, dude. I was absolutely dreading coming on here. I really was, up until that goal went in, because I was the same with Jay. I thought, okay, it's an equaliser, but we've still got tree trunk in goal for penalties here. So I'm thinking, can he sub Vicario on? Can you do that? But nah, Johnson, man. Well, it just, we went from, you shall not pass in the penalty area to just score the bloody goal. And that's what we did. I'm really happy for Brennan Johnson, man. He didn't look too elated afterwards. But hopefully people get off his back. But yeah, to do that when he did it, there's got to be some kind of a footballer in that guy, hasn't there? You can't do that when the world's against you. There's something there. There's something there. So well done for Brennan. Well done for him.
Craig, on that goal, he showed great composure. Great finish, wasn't it?
I thought it was a brilliant finish. Yeah, considering what he's had to deal with the last week with his social media, the crap he's been getting on there. That would have been flashing through his mind as he took that ball in his stride, thinking, if I don't score here, I'm going to get more abuse. And I just thought it was a lovely little dink finish. He made it look easy. You want to see more of that, quite frankly. But what a brilliant through ball from Bentancur, I have to say. Absolutely phenomenal pass. But yeah, great ball, great finish. So pleased for Brennan Johnson to get the winner. We move on. Brentford on Saturday.
Well, the Carabao Cup fourth round draw will take place next Wednesday. Before we talk about the Brentford game, Craig, who would you like in the next round?
As long as it's not, I could do without having another Premiership team. To be honest, anybody but somebody from the top, anybody outside the Premiership, I'll take. To be honest, I just want a home tie. If I'm brutally honest.
Well,
way I don't.
From what you guys have said this evening, it seems like if we get a Premier League team, Ange might go strong, and if we get a Championship team, a League 1 or 2 team, we might make 8 changes again.
It's quite possible. It is quite possible. I don't think he'll make 8 again.
He made them against Fulham, though, didn't he, last season? So that was Premiership.
Yeah.
That was 9.
Yeah.
It was 9,
yeah.
James, who would you like?
Home tie, so I can do some more gigs.
Coin it in.
But yeah, I'm with Craig. Give us some easy ones. Get us a bit further. Get us into the quarterfinals. And if he does start making 8 changes, then there's some serious problems. If we're getting closer to a trophy and he's making loads of changes, I don't think he would. But yeah, another. What is it? Round 4 now, isn't it? We're into yeah. So when's quarterfinals? Round 6.
You're thinking that far ahead, are you, James?
5.
So what are you going to do for the final? I'll meet you outside Wembley, gate 5. I'll just give us an easy tie. Give us an easy tie.
I think we're in the last 16 now. Is that right? We're in the last 16.
The quarterfinals next round.
Is it?
Yeah.
No, it can't be.
Which is basically the final.
Can't be. Can't be the quarterfinal next, surely.
No,
it can't be down to the last 8. It's got to be 16. We've got to be the round of 16, surely.
Well, the Premier League were in the round before, weren't they? They was in round 3. That was round 4. I don't know. Do you know, Chris?
Paul,
we should really know this.
Yeah.
Paul, who would you like in the next round?
Hey, man, look, if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. So I don't care. Bring it on. Bring it on, man. Man City, let's do them early. Get some confidence up.
Wow. And will Ange go strong against Manchester City then?
He'll do just enough to win the game. Just enough. Just by Nat's cock. We'll just get over the line.
And
That's all we need to do.
Yeah. A bit of luck like tonight.
Yeah.
Let's talk finally about the Brentford game on Saturday. Craig, what team selection do you think Ange Postecoglou will go with for Brentford? How confident are you that Spurs will win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against Brentford on Saturday?
I think you'll probably see the return of a very similar lineup to against Arsenal. However, I think Bissouma will come into the lineup. Will he start Brennan Johnson? Really good point. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Looks like Odebear's injured. Let's hope that's not too serious. I think it'll be the usual back four and goalkeeper. I would say, yeah, Bissouma, Bentancur, Maddison in the middle, Sonny, Solanke, and possibly Kulusevski or Johnson. I don't know which one he's going to choose. Possibly Kulusevski because Johnson got a fair few minutes tonight, which probably wasn't planned. So yeah. But I think we're just going to squeak it 2-1. I think it's going to be a really tight game.
There is 16 teams in round 4.
Ah, what?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Through the last 16, yes. Come on, you Spurs.
Basically a final.
It's pretty much.
Yeah.
James, what do you expect from Saturday's game, Brentford at home?
Yeah, very tight game again. I've got to give a shout out to Kulusevski for all season. I think he's been our best player, I think, to be honest with you. I'd like to see him definitely starting against Brentford, but I am with Craig that I think it would be quite close between him and Johnson. But I would like to see Kulusevski, Solanke and Son up front. Midfield, I guess, I don't know how we're all feeling, but I wouldn't be too displeased to see Bergvall in there and given another shot again based off his performance today. But yeah, Maddison was great when he came on as well. So probably Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison, I think they'll probably go for. And the back four kind of writes itself, doesn't it? Although Spence has been knocking on the door. So Spence and Udogie, maybe that. But tight game, I reckon 2-1 Spurs in a very tight game.
What was your prediction, Craig?
Mine was 2-1.
2-1. Paul, what's your score prediction for Saturday, and how do you think Ange will set up, and what changes do you think he'll make?
Oh, I think it'd be more like the Arsenal setup, but yeah, I just want to. The main thing is I just want to see people picking out Solanke because I think that's the key. There's a reason why we bought him, and we need to give him the ball. But as far as a score prediction goes, 4-0, 4-0, 3-0 up at half time. Put my feet up, relax, easy peasy. Come on, Chris, 4-0. You know it makes sense.
I feel like you're on the wind up.
No, I think I
4-0.
think when we start playing, we're going to be really, really good. You know, and I think we're close. It's up front. We've been naff. If that gets unlocked, we're just going to bulldoze teams, man.
4-0. Zero shots on target in the opening 45 minutes tonight.
Yeah, well, you know, Coventry put up a hell of a fight, didn't they?
Mark Robbins, the Coventry manager, has just said, if you're a Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, you are probably relieved to go through at our expense. But I think they are a really good side. I think they are a really well-managed side, by the way. And I think Ange Postecoglou is a top manager, the way that they've got them playing in a really good way. Right, we've done the score predictions. Let's do predictions for where you think Spurs will finish at the end of the season in the Premier League. Craig, let's go with you.
Oh, sod. I said third originally, right at the beginning of the season. However, I might adjust that. I'm going to say fifth.
Fifth, and will Spurs win a trophy?
No.
James?
Sixth. And Europa League trophy.
Paul?
There's no point in asking me, man. I can't say anything apart from winning it, can we? You know, I mean, Man City, like, they're going to be booted out imminently. Arsenal, Liverpool. Oh well, a slot's been found out already by Nottingham Forest. No, I reckon third in the league. But the Europa League, man, that's the one I want. I really want that cup. 4 European trophies that'll be compared to Arsenal's 1. It's got to be done.
You two genuinely believe that we have got enough in our squad to win the Europa League?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I think you'll go strong.
Yeah.
Strong.
Okay.
Our strongest ain't good enough, James. I don't think. At the moment, I'll revise it after January. But at the moment, I see nothing. I can't put my hand on my heart and say, yeah. Do you know what? We're favourites for a reason. We're going to win.
I admit, this is wishful thinking because I want a trophy, and that is the best one. But yeah, I can't see us giving it a go.
Okay,
Chris,
Craig,
what's yours?
What's mine?
Prediction and do we get a trophy?
I think if Spurs finish top 6 this season, I think it would be a successful one, based on the squad that we have got. Can we go all the way to lift a trophy? If Ange approaches other cup competitions like he did tonight, then I don't think we have a hope in hell.
Okay.
Come on, you Spurs.
James, did you have a tribute or something you wanted to?
Yeah. Is it cool to do the tribute to Richards, Chris, on the show? So basically, the story is I was approached by Richard's daughter. One of our fans has passed away recently, sadly, and they found these lyrics that Richard had written about Tottenham. So this is Richard Light's lyrics, and this is his song. We are the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. We play in the famous White Hart Lane. We are the greatest team in Europe. When you see us, you'll never be the same. Brilliant and bright, playing lily white. Tottenham will lead you to the light. That's a tribute to Richard Light. Rest in peace, brother.
Hey.
Thank you, James.
Rest in peace, man.
James, where can people find you on social media and what are you up to at the moment? I take it you're back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday performing?
Yeah, I'll be back. Find me on The Voice of Spurs on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the social media platforms. And I'm playing pre and post game on Saturday at the Shelf Bar, Block 120, Level 1, East Stand.
Look forward to seeing you again, James. And Paul, where can people find you? What are you up to at the moment? And I take it you're doing daily vlogs about Spurs at the moment.
Yeah. Well, James might be the voice of Spurs, but I'm the groove of Spurs. And yeah, come and see me on Hotspur Hippie on YouTube and your favourite podcast. I know Chris is all high ranking, but not in Norway. He's not, because I've got the 34th ranked football podcast in Norway. And I'd like to thank all of those 8 Norwegians that have listened to it. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Spurs.
I don't think we'll be ranking very high this week after my realistic rant today about Ange Postecoglou's team selection, but it's just the way I feel. Craig, where can people find you? What are you up to at the moment?
Yeah, not a great deal. Just being a suffering Tottenham fan at the moment. At Dearman 9 on X if you want to give me a follow. James, I have to say I love that song. Bad Moon Rising always reminds me of American Wealth in London.
Oh yeah,
it's that brilliant film. But yeah, lovely song, James.
I had some nice stories from Richard actually from his daughter. He had a Tottenham Hotspur tattoo as well. He was a very dedicated fan, and they found these lyrics like after he'd passed on. It's quite a nice story. But yeah, it's a good tune. Yeah. So he's done well there.
That's good. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me on, Chris. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Well, thank you, Craig. Thank you, James. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for your input this evening. Let's hope that we can get a decent draw in the 4th round and progress in this competition and perhaps even lift a trophy this season. Wouldn't that be great? Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And until the next one, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.